Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, partnering with donors from all walks of life to improve southeastern Virginia through grants, scholarships, and leadership initiatives. Learn more at hamptonroadscf.org.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Barbara Ham-Lee. We are in a special report of Another View there. Old Dominion University has issued an active alert threat at Constant Hall. Now, an alert was sent out to ODU students and faculty reading ODU Urgent Alert Active Threat Reported at Constant Hall. This happened this morning at 10:48. The protocol was follow, run, hide, fight protocols. Emergency personnel are on the scene. Hampton Boulevard is completely shut down at this hour, but we are able to tell you that a gunman opened fire. 2 people have been hurt. The gunman is deceased. Campus is closed for the rest of today, along with any other operation on the main campus of Old Dominion University. So a lot happening. WHRO, as you may know, is directly across the street from Old Dominion University. We were in a shelter-in-place protocol and remain that way at this hour. I'm going to turn it over to Michelle Hankerson. She is the news director here at WHRO News to bring us the latest update that she has. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. Hope you guys are good in the office over there.
Yeah, it's been a little crazy, but we're good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have any other much more confirmed information than what you've already shared. 2 victims, they've been transferred to local hospitals, and the gunman is deceased. That's coming from the university. Norfolk police are on the scene. ODU police are also helping. We've seen some announcements from the Washington, D.C. Bureau of the ATF. So alcohol,
tobacco and firearms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have agents here as well. That may not signal anything. They could have just been in the area and are assisting. So we don't have any information yet on who the victims are, who the shooter is, what connection they have to the university. It's possible we get that information today. It's also possible we don't, especially if these are still minors. We may not. It may be a little bit before we get information on who is actually involved.
Okay. Do you know, Michelle, if traffic has started again on Hampton Boulevard? I know that they stopped it in both directions, and that actually people were turning into our parking lot here at WHRO. For a minute.
It looked, when we were checking, it looked like it was moving very slow on one side, but police and university officials have asked people to just avoid the area. The lockdown order, the shelter-in-place order on the university is lifted because the active threat is gone. It's neutralized, as they say, but they are asking folks to just stay away from campus, which includes that section of Hampton Boulevard. So I would say even if you look on a traffic camera and it looks like it's moving, it's going to be slow and it's going to be disrupted probably for the minimum rest of the day. But it's hard to tell exactly what's happening because some people are just happening upon it and have to turn around. We have some reporters who are redirecting from other plans that they had today. So they are trying to navigate through that to get to the building. It's chaotic, which is expected in situations like this.
Absolutely. Have you had an opportunity to speak with any students or anything at this point?
So not in a journalistic capacity, but
Okay.
I do have a brother who lives near campus and went to ODU, so I have checked in with him. He actually has some friends who still work on campus who he says they were actually instructed, whatever building they were in, they weren't safe there. They were instructed to evacuate where they were, go to a different building and shelter in place. He said they're all fine. He actually wasn't on campus, but he was nearby. So he's been sheltering in place at his house. But from a journalistic standpoint, no, I haven't talked to any students officially. But it does sound like the students, based on what my brother has told me and what we're seeing on social media, students are very confused. They have no idea what was going on, and it's still a little bit unclear to students. If they were on campus, they were locked down. So they are kind of just now emerging and figuring out what happened.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much for bringing us up to speed as much as you can. I understand this is a active situation, a moving situation, and I know that there will be much more on WHRO News later on in today. Those of you out there listening, if you know many of us here at WHRO Public Media, please know that we are safe. We are in the building, and that things are running as expected here at the station. So there's no concern there. Stay tuned. Another View will start right now.
Discussing today's topics from an African American perspective, this is Another View.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. A little bit crazy and chaotic this morning, but we are getting through it. Unfortunately, there was an active shooter, or an active threat, at Constant Hall at Old Dominion University, and that happened at 10:48 this morning. A gunman opened fire. 2 people have been hurt. The gunman is deceased. WHRO News is working on gathering more information, and we're going to go ahead and continue with Another View. A couple of announcements before we get into our story, and our roundtable is standing by. They scrambled. They could not get here to the building physically, and so we are all on the phone, but we are going to have a great conversation anyway. But before we get started, I want to tell you that in celebration of America 250, First Baptist Church Williamsburg is one of the oldest Black Baptist churches in America. It was also started in 1776, and the church is very active to this day. They are a part of the legacy and the history of faith and freedom, and they are looking for those of you who are interested in history, those of you who love to interact with people, to come and become guides to tell the First Baptist Church story. This summer, we're going to be having visitors from all over the world coming to Williamsburg to learn more about the history. And so the church is offering a tour to worshipers and visitors, giving a glimpse of the Black community in Williamsburg through the centuries. Now, we need volunteers to conduct tours, greet visitors, and help manage the tour experience. They will train you. If you are interested in becoming a tour guide, please contact Donald Hill at 757-256-7203. That's Donald Hill, 757-256-7203. They will train you, and I'm telling you, it will be a wonderful experience. Just a reminder that next week we are live at the American Revolution Museum at Yorktown. We're going to be talking with Christy Coleman and Cassandra Newby-Alexander, 2 outstanding historians, about the role of Blacks in the Revolution. And we hope that you'll join us live in our studio audience. We need you to go to WHRO.org to register. And once you're registered, you will have free access to the museum. Come on out, be a part of our live audience from 11 until 1:30. That is next Thursday at noon. So thank you very, very much. So there's a lot going on in our world today, as today really showed us. And our Another View Roundtable pundits are here to talk about it. So let's meet our panel. Dawn Hester is an educator, a politician, and she serves as the treasurer for the city of Norfolk. Hey, Dawn, how you doing?
Hey, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you just fine. You sound great.
Good.
Thank you. Gayleen Knoyton is a political consultant, president of the Hampton NAACP, first vice chair organization with the Virginia State Democratic Party, and a super connector. Hey, Gayleen, how are you?
I'm doing great. I hope everybody else is too.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much.
And Happy New Year.
Thank you. I know, because we haven't seen each other in quite a while. And Allison Moore is a clean comedian, and she's the millennial on our panel. Hey, Allison. How you doing?
Hey, y'all. Hey. I'm doing great. I'm so excited. I mean, I've seen you since the New Year, but it has been a while. Hey.
Yes, it has been a while. And before we move on, Allison, I think you got something special going on. It's coming up soon, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the alley-oop. So I am headlining at Kazi's Comedy Club in Newport News. Y'all got to pull up and see me. Not this weekend, the weekend after next, Friday and Saturday, March 20th and 21st. Yours truly is headlining. So y'all come on out. Let me make you laugh. Y'all, we should make this a whole date. I'm just saying. I get y'all a table.
So we can make this happen. Absolutely. So let's get into this, ladies. So despite President Trump's declaration yesterday at a rally in Kentucky that, quote, we won when talking about the war in Iran, overnight the U.S. and Israel showed no signs of halting the war, and Iran continues to escalate its attacks on global shipping and energy infrastructure across the Gulf. 3 more oil tankers were attacked last night, and Iran halts oil and other supplies through the Strait of Hormuz. Oil surged today to over $100 a barrel before dropping slightly. So what does this mean at home in terms of increasing gas and energy prices? What will you do when a gallon of gas reaches $4? And I will tell you all, my tease at the beginning of the show that was planned before all this happened at ODU. So from my balcony, I can see the digital price sign of a gas station. Last Sunday, it was $2.99 per gallon of gas. Monday, it rose to $3.09. Tuesday was $3.34, and as of this morning, it is $3.54 a gallon and continues to rise. Dawn, what you gonna do when it gets $4?
I'm going to not spend in some other area so that I have enough money for gas because I got to get around. Just like with life, we got to make adjustments. It is horrible, but all of us need to look at how we're going to cut back on something else, especially for those of us that have children or got to get people places and have to get to work. Cut back on traveling. I decided not to fly somewhere because those prices have gone up. So, it's just a lot. I am going to say I'm thankful that we are on the East Coast because on the West Coast it's $5 and $6 already.
That's true, and rising, and rising.
Mm-hmm.
Gayleen, what about you?
I paid $4.09 today a gallon.
Wait, in Hampton?
Yes.
Wow, so it's already hit.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to vote yes on redistricting on the referendum. That's what I'm going to do.
And we're going to
encourage everybody else to do it because we have no business being in this war, no way. And the price was up anyway. It started to go down a little bit, and now it's shooting back up again. We got to get off this. I'm like Fred Flintstone. Jane, get me off this crazy train.
And we're going to talk about redistricting in just a minute, too. Allison, how is it hitting you in your circle of influence?
I'm looking at the map on MapQuest on how to walk some routes. I'm about to pull out this Fitbit. I'm about to get some steps in. I'm about to be homeless is what is going to happen if it go up any more sense. I'm going to be sending y'all another group chat message. Hey, this is not about a topic. Can anybody pick me up for next month's session? What in the world? Somebody help.
I mean, and we talk about the gas prices and all, but the impact of war on this country. Dawn, give me some of your thoughts about the president taking us to war without the authorization of Congress, and where we are today. And then when you hear him sending all kinds of messages in terms of where we are with this situation.
I'm like Gayleen.
Mm-hmm.
We are in a war that I don't think we should be in, even though I don't know all the facts. But I do know that we were not in imminent danger of anything that could not be worked out or negotiated, which they were working on negotiations. I am prayerful that based on the patterns of the person who is in charge right now,
mm-hmm.
that he will just say stop. That's what I'm praying for, because he has a short attention span. And so he's already damaged, killed, hurt not only the individuals the country that they're going after, but our friends all around them. And so he has drawn us into a mess that I don't see us getting a resolution, because right now there were 3 that he said. He started with 1, which was the nuclear, and then it went to the regime change, and it's something else. So there is no clarity. I'm prayerful always that Congress would stand up and get a backbone and shut it down, but I don't see that either. But I don't like that our men and women are being put in harm's way again. Yeah. So, we're moving from here to there. A month here in Venezuela, then we go here. First we shooting up little boats, then we go take over another country, put somebody in. There is no clarity in anything that's being done. And clearly there's nothing that's being done, in my opinion, that helps Americans or makes America first in anything, because people are still struggling. People are still waiting and hoping that something is going to occur that's going to make a difference in our lives. And right now that has not happened since he was put in office.
Gayleen, I'm coming to you in a minute, but go ahead, Allison. You had a question or something you wanted to say?
Well, not a question, but it was in line with what you're saying, in the sense of like how I'm noticing how like small things matter in the big picture. And so earlier, I think it was earlier this year, with all of the issues with censorship and Jimmy Kimmel, and I know that some people were like, well, that's small potatoes. But we see it now in a way in which, if it were not for people standing up for censorship or against or for, we wouldn't know a lot of things. Like how, there's been a lot of pushback. But these are where those small things really do matter with what's being covered. Because like you said at the top of this, some people's narrative is very different from what's really happening, and we would be lost.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we have just finding out now that the missile from the United States was the one that hit near the school in Iraq. Go ahead, Gayleen.
And that's exactly where I was going with it. We've got our men and women in harm's way. We've got men and women that have died. And even some of the Republicans have said they don't know why they're over there. And why did we get into this fight? And so it's a moving distraction. People are getting hurt. Children are getting hurt. Our prices are going up. And at some point, it's got to stop. And, of course, he made the decision to go over there. And it's interesting because he wanted to get rid of the leader of Iran and choose the next one. And guess what? Who's the next one? The next one is the son.
The son, exactly.
The one that just got rid of.
And the son came out this morning saying, with a written statement saying that the Strait of Hormuz was going to continue to be shut down. So, means that we're not getting they can't transport the oil that we need, and it's just going to continue to rise. I do want to. I have a question for you all though, because maybe it's because during Vietnam and other conflicts or wars, I was much, much younger, but it seems to me, or it feels like, we have a lot of civilian casualties in these events. And at one point it was kind of like here's where the war happens, and then the civilians were living their lives. Am I incorrect in that?
No,
go ahead, Gayleen.
You're not.
Go ahead, Gayleen. Mm-hmm.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, remute yourself. Yeah.
Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry.
Gayleen she had a point to get out. She unmuted the Zoom and everything. The walkie-talkie.
No, you're exactly right. Okay, good. Yeah.
Hang on one second, Gayleen. Let me see if I can mute you. There you go. All right, you're muted. Go ahead. Now say your.
Now, okay. Good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. But the simple fact that you've got innocent people. I actually have a close friend that lived in Dubai, moved to Dubai this year, and had to immediately evacuate because she wasn't giving any warning whatsoever, but there's people around her who died behind the bombings in Dubai.
Yeah.
One of the number one vacation spots that everybody want to go to, and then she had to go to Oman. And then couldn't get out of Oman, and then was trying to get to Turkey, and finally landed in Malaysia, and still can't get back to the States. But the people in that circle traveling are getting killed or getting hurt. Yeah. You got innocent bystanders. Other countries are warning their citizens. The United States didn't warn them. They didn't warn them.
Yeah, and that is a good point.
I was just going to jump in and say, we didn't warn anybody. We woke up in the middle of the night and we were at war. And, so in my disappointment, and that's the easiest word I could find, it was respectful. How can you go to war and not even let your embassies know? Because those are our people working in those embassies to get them out. I just, they talk about it being precise and precision. It might be with the bombs, but it wasn't with precise and precision with the people who were there. Yeah. So we are killing innocent people.
And not to mention the other countries around Iran that are being drawn in because they're attacking American bases there.
Right.
Go
so
ahead.
There was no planning in this.
Allison?
I don't think that you're wrong to say just didn't feel like it was that much of an impact or so many, in my term, catching strays. I think that, here we go with the millennial age, social media is helping us to see some of the things that we may not have seen in the 80s or 90s, the ricochet, like there,
Very good point.
Gayleen Friend is able to post on social media for 3,000 people to see her vlog about why the heck she can't come back versus maybe 25 years ago where we didn't have that type of access, which again goes back to why we got to stand for being able and supportive of these little individual fake play journalists, because at least somebody is telling us from these small, social media platform sites, people's pages and things, some truth that maybe large influencers have been paid to tell us the opposite.
Well,
I agree.
Yeah. Go ahead, Don.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you came back to that, because this censorship thing, it is amazing just watching it, even on our basic channels. For those of us who are back in the 20s, ABC, NBC, CBS. I'm like, what are you all doing?
Yeah, leadership has changed, and the focus has changed. Yeah.
And so we really have to concentrate and pay attention to what we're listening to, who it's coming from, and then you've got to verify it, even if you think it's coming from a good source.
Absolutely.
And that is a part, y'all, that's a part of it. That is a part of the change, too.
Well, along those lines, let's move on to our next topic. The midterm primary elections have started. In response to encouragement by President Trump, 4 states have changed their congressional maps to favor Republican candidates. They are Texas, North Carolina, Missouri, and Ohio. In response, California changed its map to favor Democrats. Now Virginia gets to weigh in. On April 21st, voters will decide on this ballot question, and this is the question that you're going to actually go in and vote on. Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness in the upcoming elections while ensuring Virginia's standard redistricting process resumes for all future redistricting after the 2030 census? All right, we need to break this down and so that people understand exactly what it means and why it's critical that everybody votes. And Gayleen, since you have the first vice chair organization for the Democratic Party, and you are very engaged in this area, please explain in English exactly what it is that people are voting for and what this means.
First of all, let me just say this. This is a nonpartisan campaign.
Right.
Let me just say that. Let me be real clear about that. This is a nonpartisan campaign. I actually put a document on social media explaining exactly what this means. Let me say at first a couple things before I get down to the seats. One thing, the difference between what the Republicans did and then what happened, they said the Democrats voted it in, of course, on the Democratic side, but it's a nonpartisan, is that the Republicans just went and did it. California and Virginia are letting the voters decide. So let's start there, first of all. And I think that's really, really important to say.
So we're talking about the Republican legislatures in North Carolina, Ohio, Missouri, and Texas made the change without bringing it to the public, to the people, to vote on it.
That's exactly right.
Virginia
That's exactly
and
right.
California are allowing the people to vote on this subject.
Right. So with the North Carolina, Ohio, Texas, Missouri, that made the Republicans have a total of 6 more seats. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 more seats. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And the Democrats will only had 3. When we finish with both these elections, then you'll have 6 and 6. So this is not about gerrymandering. This is not about the maps. This is about having the seats. The reason why President Trump and his minions, as I call them, wanted to start this this redistricting is to get more seats in the House so he can win the midterms. I keep calling it gerrymandering. I'm sorry. The redistricting always happens every 10 years after the census, right? Mm-hmm. The census happens in 2030. 2031 is when you'll have your redistricting because it's based around the population. They decided to usurp the census and bring in more seats or cheat and steal seats. Let me just say it like that. So they can have more seats in the House to win the midterm. And if Democrats if the people don't stand up to have fairness and level the playing field, then they're going to win the midterms hands down. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game.
So the goal is to keep the Republican majority in the House, in the Senate, and then by extension the White House, since President Trump will be there for 2 more years. So it is to maintain the Republican majority across all 3 branches of the government. Allison.
Right.
Go ahead, Gayleen, finish.
And look, and if that didn't work, you got the SAVE Act coming up on the heels too. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Go ahead, Allison. Mm-hmm.
I just love this every month. I'm sad when I miss y'all because I'm like, I feel like I won't be learning something. But I was excited for this part of the conversation to ask on behalf of those of us who, we're fighting to get through the technical terms that just make you say, I don't get what y'all saying, and why does this matter to me, right? And, I've been working with kids, and so I tried to figure out the illustration to really understand what does this, even when you were saying gerrymandering, I know that wasn't the full point, Gayleen, but, that was something that why does redistricting matter? First of all, what is it? And so, one of the illustrations, I need y'all to tell me if I'm right or wrong so I don't keep telling these kids the wrong thing. But my understanding is that it's kind of I remember this when I was growing up in Fox Hill and Hampton in an area where there were not that many black kids in the school total. And then so I'm telling my kids, think about if you're in your classroom your school is broken up into classrooms. If there is only 1 or 2 of you from a certain neighborhood in that class of 20, 25 students, then your neighborhood may not get as much representation or support because it's just a small group of you all in that classroom. And so my understanding is that redistricting either dilutes or makes that voice stronger or, dilutes or makes it stronger. So far, am I right before I finish with my question?
Dawn, is she on the right track?
She's on a track that we need to let her finish so that we can then
okay. Finish your thought, and then
Align.
they'll align it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Help me out, Auntie. Okay. So if I'm thinking, okay, well, like this matters. This should matter to you, Allison, because your neighborhood may or may not be your neighborhood with your thoughts, your beliefs, what's important to you and your family may or may not be represented in the larger conversation. You need to pull up so that you can. I think where I get confused is with it. How do I know if my voice is being diluted or not? Right? Like if I'm living in a city that is majority like me, how am I supposed to know? Ting, ding, ding. This time needs to happen for you beyond Republican and Democrat, because I think a lot of people, at least in my circle, are not right now locked in on saying I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, and that is actually kind of a turnoff. Let me pause right here and let y'all jump in and get me together, because I can't be looking stupid in front of my kids.
Okay, Gayleen, you start.
Hang on. Before you get into that, Gayleen, let me just do this real quick. If you're just joining us, we're talking about current events with the Another View Roundtable. Norfolk Treasurer Dawn Hester, political consultant Gayleen Canoyton, and clean comedian Allison Moore. So, Gayleen, go ahead and help Allison out.
So if you talk about redistricting, let's talk about how it all started. Okay, and it started with gerrymandering back when you had the power grabbers, which they would call different names back then, but they wanted to make sure they have a majority voice in the legislature, right? And they packed a lot of voters in areas, right? So that they have a limited amount of black representation, and that they have a more conservative representation in the legislature. Okay, that's the way it all started back then. And then what happened as it progressed, whatever party was in charge, they were kind of in charge of what the redistricting looked like. So if the Republicans had it, it was more Republicans. If the Democrats, more Democrats. Then it moved to nonpartisan redistricting, and the judges got in. And then that's when you had the balance of your redistricting to make sure that everyone was represented, and they had a balance across the board.
So,
do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. So in Virginia, there is a commission that is put together at the end of each census that is bipartisan or nonpartisan. Let's say it that way, nonpartisan, so that. And they're the ones who determine the lines in terms of what the districts are going to look like. Now, in 2021, they did this, and ultimately the Virginia Supreme Court wound up having to actually implement the lines because they couldn't come to agreement. But the point is that it was a nonpartisan group of people who would come together to try to divide up the state into congressional districts so that ultimately everyone would have a voice. Now, based on population moves and things that happen in the census, that's why they do it every 10 years to make up for if there's a major shift in population or in growth. Am I right in that, Dawn? Did I miss anything?
Dawn's on the phone, but let me just... she's
here.
I'm here, but you can go ahead. I'm here. I'm listening.
No, I just want to say one other thing. Mm-hmm. The other caveat to the commission is who chooses who to go on that commission.
Right.
And so that's what I was talking about. Whoever's in charge in that commission, and then several times the Supreme Court had to come in and the judges had to draw the map. So it's a lot of dynamics to this. But that's why your voice is important, to know who's at the table and what that means to you.
So, Dawn, there's this whole push to get people to vote yes. There's also a whole push to get people to vote no. And there was a particular thing that happened this week with former Delegate A.C. Cordoza and his PACs, political PACs that he has, two of them, and they sent specific mailers to African Americans in particular about and encouraging them to vote no on the referendum and invoking civil rights imagery and Jim Crow imagery in saying that if we do this, if you allow this, then it's going to go back to back when we were fighting to be able to vote at all. Your reaction?
So I already voted yes. So I just want to make that clear of where I stand.
Okay.
And there are people who are trying to take away our rights to vote right now. Okay? So we just have to keep that as the premise of everything that we're seeing taking place, because we have a president who is trying to pull ballots back from 2020. They're setting up the stage to make it seem like our election process is not legal, but it is. That's one point that I want to make. The information that was sent by text and mail in reference to voting no was disingenuous, because individuals who were working through Jim Crow, we were working to make sure that we all had the right to vote. Everybody. It didn't matter what color. Everybody had the right to vote. And so when a PAC led by a black man who is a registered Republican, in my opinion, they're using him and his face to tell black people what we should do. And we are smarter than that. So it was wrong, and it should be pulled down, but it's a PAC, so you may get some more of that. That's why you have to really be careful, and we said it before, about understanding what you're voting for, why you're being asked to vote, and the implications for you. So in this request for us in voting, and early voting has started, so you can start voting now. April 21st is the end date. Mm-hmm. We are, and when I say we, the people who put this together, we're asking individuals to try to help us in our state and our country to keep things fair. And it's a process that only occurred because of what occurred in Republican-controlled states. And so we have to keep that in mind, and we will go back in 2030, but we're only doing this because of what has occurred at the federal level impacting our states. And states are in control of the voting process, and we don't ever want anybody else to take that away from us. So we do not want that to go to the federal level either. I got more to say, but Galen got a hand up.
But before you say that, Galen, I just want to say, Lisa Godley, our show producer today, received a text from the same PAC with a picture of or the name of Abigail Spanberger, saying that she is saying to not vote for this amendment. Go ahead, Galen.
See, that's another, I just call these all dog whistles. Well, first of all, I don't think A.C. Cordoza's being used. He truly believes this stuff, okay? He truly believes this stuff. And I always say black people didn't deliver him in the last election. He lost in this past November election, and we definitely not going to deliver for him on this no vote. But I will tell you this, is that, this is so important. These mailers, he calls himself Democracy and Justice. Mm-hmm. That's the name of his PAC. And it makes it sound like it's a civil rights thing. And so it's a dog whistle. We are accustomed to this misinformation, and I have people calling me up. I see yes on television. Thank God Obama came out yesterday on a commercial, and, I see it on that vote yes, and then I get a mailer to say vote no, and then I'm getting phone calls from the Democratic Party, which is Republicans that are disguising themselves to tell them to vote no. That's why you have to know the issue, because this is not a partisan issue. This is about democracy. This is about all of our voting strength, not just one party. This is all of our voting strength. And if we didn't do 10-1 in Virginia, we would have an imbalance in the House. Mm-hmm. Now, you still got the Louisiana issue going on, too, with the Supreme Court. We still got something to deal with that, and we don't know how that's going to go. We have so many different hurdles. But let me tell you about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She told the Republicans, y'all need to just campaign and stop litigating, because that's what they were doing. They were in court trying to sue, trying to stop all of this stuff, or trying to stop the redistricting and everything like that. Everybody was campaigning, commercials, knocking on doors and everything else. And now the Republicans are sending out these mail pieces to try to distract people and try to get low information. Well, I won't even say low information, because these are educated folks that called me that were still confused behind seeing some of these mailers, these phone calls, and then seeing this, because to Allison's point, that balance has got to be clear, that they have to understand that how it all started. We didn't start this shiggity, okay? We didn't start it, but Virginia gonna finish it. So they have to understand that they want to steal the seats, to have more seats in the House, and then they want to have some more seats in the Senate. Because that's gonna. If you got more seats, if you got more Republicans, it's gonna help your Senate race as well too. Mm-hmm. They want to steal it so he can maintain all three branches. I can't take another 2 years of this. I don't know about everybody out there, but I know I can't take it. So I'm talking to everybody.
So
vote
where
yes,
do people go?
Yes, vote yes.
Where do we go to actually find information that is credible, that you can understand, and so that you can make up your own mind? Because we're not going to tell anybody on this show to vote either way. That's not our role.
Right.
But our role
Right.
is to tell people, where do you go so that you can find credible, trustworthy information to understand this. Dawn.
There's so much information out there. I don't know which one to tell them is the credible one to go to. You know, isn't that sad that I have to say that?
Yeah.
That is sad that I have to say that. And I tell people, okay, you know I've paid attention, and you know that I have read up on it. So you go to someone that you trust, because I can't say that all the information or even all the outlets that I would send you to have accurate information. Yes, you do have to make a decision. Each of us have to make a decision. And I think the piece that Allison brought up so clearly is understanding why we have to be able, one, to articulate it, because I don't even know that right now we're articulating it well enough for our listeners to understand. They hear our passion about why we're voting yes, but that's because, we in the details. Gayleen and I, we all in the details. And so we understand how it got there. However, I would go to, I don't know where to tell you to go to. That's sad.
Well, I mean, to get the basics,
you can go to NAACP. You go to somewhere that is, a nonprofit has to give out correct information, or else they can lose their status. Go ahead, Gayleen.
The Department of Elections, the Virginia Department of Elections spells it out and explains it. And VPAP does too. VPAP does a good job. VPAP.org. They do a good job as well. But let me just say
that again. Say that again. VA. Just say it again.
VPAP.
VPAP.
P as in Paul, A as in Apple, P as in Paul.org.
I just want to make sure people heard it.
Right. Or you can go to the Virginia State Board of Elections. They have it spelled out there. I mean, those that give the facts on those two sites. Now, I want to say this, be real clear. You have a Vote Yes campaign and you have a Vote No campaign. The Vote Yes campaign came out with a website called Virginians for Fair Elections. The Vote No people came out with Virginia for Fair Elections. And then they got a picture of the governor on it. So it's very confusing, but whatever has Vote Yes on it, you have to make sure that when I tell people, Dawn hit the nail on the head. Talk to a trusted messenger that knows, that knows the ins and outs and the facts. But if you go to the State Board of Elections, it's going to tell you exactly what it is. And if you go to VPAP, it's going to tell you exactly what it is too. But I don't want people just to Google. They go up there and Google vote yes, and then you're going to see Virginia for fair elections, and then you're going to see Virginians for fair elections. Because it sounds just alike. And so if you go to a site outside of it, you can see the difference. But the bottom line is this. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not good. I was never good at math. But I do know that if you gain more seats, steal more seats, you got to fight for more seats. And that's what we're doing right now. We're fighting to maintain our voting strength, have a level playing field. This is not about gerrymandering. This is not about the maps. This is strictly about the seats to maintain a balance in the House.
Allison, you have anything for your last minute before we move on?
Well, when you ask about, like, where do we go, I listen to some people and I follow some people that, because I can chew up the meat and spit out the bones, so there will be some people who I'll like their perspective on something, and the other half of it is so cringe. So it makes me a little hesitant to say, here's who I follow. But here is how I think that I think may be helpful, at least for people who are rising to a new level of trying to figure out what's going on. I do use ChatGPT or AI in that way. And I would make a prompt. I have made a prompt to say things like, hey, I'm a mother with these children. I live in this area. I do this. I do that. What are some issues that should be important to me as it applies for the upcoming, or it applies to, like, I do some reverse engineering that backwards that way. Now, I know, obviously, at the end of the day, even with some sources like AI and stuff, it filters and it sends you information that's not always, something that we could depend on. But it is a start, and to say to somebody like me or some people I know, like, go to somebody you trust, they're like, I don't know who to trust. So how do I skip past that? If I don't look at people and say, oh, this is a person that I should trust, how can I understand what should I be looking for? What are the issues that are impacting me? And that type of information in my inquiry path will then say, well, hey, girl, you got a kid that's about to go to high school. You should be concerned about what they're teaching in school. That goes to the Board of Education. You need to be concerned about the lunch plan. So for me, that's kind of how I try to find information.
The bottom line is the statute itself is there. The information and the actual question that you're going to be voting on is online at the Virginia Election Board site and the others that Galen promoted. But read that first for yourself before you even engage with the people that you trust, because you as an individual need to come up, I would imagine, with your own perspective before you move on to someone else to try to persuade you one way or the other. Galen, you had your hand up.
And I just want to say this. ChatGPT was just bought, okay? I mean, it's influenced by some major conservatives. Millions of people have jumped off of GPT and jumped over to another site. First of all, I used to trust them, and then they insert information that's not true. Some of it is going to be true or whatever. So I go back to what Barbara said. Go to the Department of Elections, or go to VPAC, whatever, those neutral sites. Because this AI stuff and chat, you got to be able to weigh it out, because a lot of them information is not correct. Some of it might sound good, but there's some in there that it could be insert something that's not correct. So I don't even put my trust all into that now.
It don't have to be ChatGPT. It could be any of them. But in a ChatGPT place, to me, ChatGPT will tell me about VPAP. I'm on this call with y'all because I'm on this call with y'all. I've been up here for years, but most people don't even, how do they know to go to VPAP? Not most people, but I'm speaking on behalf of the group of people who may not have been raised in this space, don't know how to think about it, don't know where to start, just know that they want to understand what's going on. I see them as being able to find a VPAP by saying, hey, how do I get this information before they go to a person?
No, they don't always do that. I'm just telling you. They'll take you to a site that's not even like that. I'm just telling you to really go to a trusted messenger, ask a trusted messenger.
So here's the
That's
final
all.
question, and we are almost, believe it or not, almost out of time. But if this passes, if there is a yes, does that necessarily mean that it will be the lines will be redrawn, or will it depend on what else is happening in the country in
No,
terms of other
if it
states? Mm-hmm.
If it passes, it's going to be redrawn. It's going to be
Okay.
10-1.
Okay.
It's going to be
So it'll be
10-1
it'll be
if it
10.
passes.
So we'll have
Right.
10 areas that will be majority Democrat and one that will be majority Republican. Correct?
Right. And,
Okay.
and because that's the seats that we'll have, because we needed those extra seats to have that balance. Now, let me tell you what the Supreme Court said. The Supreme Court said we're going to wait, and see, afterwards. So they're really going to wait and see how the voters going to vote, and then they still can weigh in. They're still on the balance now. They still can weigh in, but just realize that this vote is so important. And I just got to say this real quick: is that when you ask someone what are they concerned about, and then you turn around and say who you think is responsible for, and they always go back to say the president is responsible for it or whatever. This is a reason why you need to vote yes. You got to vote yes.
Okay. Again, we are encouraging people to vote the way that they want to vote based on the information that they have. We cannot tell them, Gayleen, how to vote, but we can encourage people to go and get the information that they need. Dawn, I do have one question for you, and we got less than a minute, actually we got about 3 minutes left. But one thing I don't see happening is that everybody's talking about early voting has started, but I don't see anybody telling me where to go to do my early voting. Can you tell me where to go to do the early voting?
Well, and it's different in every locality.
Okay.
So you have to go to your local electoral board. But if you go to the electoral board to read the question, then you can go to your city and find out where the sites are that are open. So there are 5 open in Norfolk. There are more open in every other city to give you those instructions as to where to go. But you can always go to where your electoral board is located, and usually that's at a city hall in the locality where you vote.
All right, we got 2 minutes and we got 3 people. Your thoughts on Jesse Jackson and his final tributes that happened last weekend. Did anybody feel like, in terms of mainstream media, that the coverage was less than you would expect? Go ahead. Who wants to start? Allison.
Well, yeah, I think I felt that, but I think it goes down to, and this might be a part B for us to continue the conversation, but I think that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because we talked about kind of with this, like there was definitely a difference. I think Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is an example of a mainstream, iconic voice, and people were comparing the two, like, well, y'all weren't talking about Jesse Jackson like the same way we were talking about Martin Luther King Jr., and I think it's because of how they impacted, not that the impact was less than. Some impact is overt, some impact is easier to spread the message, easier to see and understand, and others, sometimes, again, we stand on the shoulders of people, so it's undeniable that it is necessary, foundational, but it is just a way in which it was expressed, received, and communicated, and that's, to me, why I feel like, because mainstream includes everybody, and that's a part of why, to me, Jesse Jackson wasn't celebrated at the level of mainstream in a way in which Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was. Hopefully that makes sense.
Okay, go ahead, Don.
I'm going to add this part. Mainstream is not the mainstream we knew back then. Yeah. So that is why everything is different that you see on television.
Ladies, I cannot believe, but we are out of time. First of all, let me thank you all for your flexibility today because of everything that was happening with Old Dominion University. So, but we are on the air and we still got it done. So thank you. And we'll be right back. And And welcome back. The Dance Theater of Harlem makes a triumphant return to Hampton Roads next Friday as the company presents one of its most beloved signature works, Firebird. Our Lisa Godley gives us an inside look at this cherished work and its local ties through the eyes of artistic director Robert Garland.
When the Dance Theater of Harlem performs in Norfolk later this month, the spellbinding leaps, magnificent jumps, and mind-blowing pirouettes will be performed to the classical ballet Firebird. This classic Russian folktale of love over evil is a ballet that Norfolk native Lorraine Graves owned during her 3-year stint as principal dancer with the company. Lorraine would remain with the Dance Theater of Harlem for 20 years in total, assuming several key roles. Artistic director Robert Garland remembers her well.
Lorraine Graves was a wonderful, wonderful. I cannot tell you how respected she was as a rehearsal director, or actually called her ballet mistress at the time, remembering all the steps. Arthur Mitchell used to always brag about Lorraine has a photographic memory. Lorraine has a photographic memory. But the beauty of Lorraine, too, was that she was also dancing as a ballerina in the company at the same time.
Lorraine passed away in 2024 when she was 66, but her contribution to both dance and Norfolk live on. Not only will the dancers' moves to Firebird wow you, but Garland says so will the sets and costumes.
The designs for the ballet are quite phenomenal. They are, I believe, what we would now call Afrofuturistic in design. So when you come to see our Firebird, while it's an old Russian fairy tale, it is set in the Caribbean. It's just a wonder to the eye.
Mixing things up has always been a piece of cake for the Dance Theater of Harlem, so while they're in Hampton Roads, they'll dance to the classical ballet Firebird at Chrysler Hall next weekend, and the following Tuesday night to the music of R&B legends at the Ferguson.
I got something that makes me want to shout.
Garland says watching the dancers perform to works from various genres is a treat that always wows their audiences. For Another View, I'm Lisa Godley.
Dance Theater of Harlem will perform Firebird at Chrysler Hall for 3 nights starting on Friday, March the 20th, and then they move on to the Ferguson and Newport News on March the 24th with an entirely different show, so check them out. Thank you so much, audience, for spending an hour of your life with us here on Another View. If you like what you heard, listen again to this program or any of our Another View shows at WHRO.org, on Spotify, or wherever you go for your podcast listening pleasure. Next week on Another View, we're live from the American Revolution Museum in Yorktown, and we want you to be a part of our audience. It's an Another View history lesson about the contributions of blacks during the Revolutionary War. Our guests are historians Christy Coleman and Dr. Cassandra Newby-Alexander. It's free. Just go to whro.org/events to register and to come hang out with us. We would love to meet you in person. Our theme music is an original composition created especially for Another View by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Jordan Christie is our audio engineer, and Dr. Barry Graham answered our phones. Before I go, I want to let you know that the all clear has been issued at Old Dominion University. Earlier today at 10:48 a.m., a gunman opened fire. 2 people were hurt. A gunman is now deceased. We will have more news and updates on WHRO.org, WHRO.org and WHRV-FM throughout the day. So tune in then. I'm Barbara Hamley. Have a fantastic and safe weekend, everyone. And let's get together again next Thursday at noon for Another View.
Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, carrying out your charitable wishes forever, whether it's helping shelter animals, feeding the homeless, enhancing the arts, or supporting students. Learn more at leaveabequest.org.